Sitting down with Virginia head coach Todd DeSorbo on the eve of women's NCAAs. You're still in Charlottesville. You don't even have to leave for Knoxville until tomorrow, which is Tuesday. You don't like to be in the venue for too long. Let's before we get into NCAAs though, let's talk about ACCs for your women's team. Just overall coming out of that meet, you guys won another ACC title. What were your takeaways from that conference championship?
Um, you know, it's funny because every year, they tend to exceed any expectation we have going into the conference championship because we don't necessarily put a really big emphasis on it. It's really just it's a dress rehearsal for NCAAs, right? And so you want to, just swim, at a high level, execute your race as well. It's an opportunity to maybe swim some events that you might not swim all the time, do something a little bit different, than you might do at NCAAs, try out some new relay orders, different things like that. But, like I said, they exceeded any expectation that we had. I think we always have hopes that they can be great and do great things. And, ACCs the last couple of years anyway has been one that was like, oh, okay, wow, thought maybe we do that at NCAAs, but why not go ahead and do it here? So it was really good. Great team effort by everybody that was there. Just a lot of great swimming. No, it was good.
Yeah. I have a couple specific questions. First off, you kind of mentioned they exceed expectations. The last 2 years, at least, they've broken NCAA American US Open records in relays specifically. I know they did that last year in the 2 medley relay. This year, did they do it in 4 relays? It
Yeah.
was at least 3, right?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. uh, I think last year it was only 3, because our 400 free relay was a lot better at NCAAs. ACCs is a good, with the 5-day lineup, 4 full days plus, so an extra day, right? It sets you up for relays really, really well because it just spreads your events out a little bit. So you're a little bit more fresh when the relays roll around. And in particular, the 400 medley relay, that was on a day this year where 3 of our 4 girls that were on that relay didn't race that day. So they were completely fresh for it. The only one I think that had a race that day was Alex, and she swam the 100 breast and then swam on the medley relay. So it's just perfect opportunity to swim really fast in a relay. But yeah, we talk about, we don't necessarily talk about records, but like the 200 free relay, for example, every time we did 50 freestyle work in practice, I was preaching to the girls about going 123 in a 200 free relay. And so that was like a big goal to be able to do that. It's pretty exciting. And I think ACCs is just an opportunity where it's a little less pressure, and you can get up and send it. I think it's kind of nice too to go ahead, if you break records at the conference championship meet, not that you're worried about it or not that you're even focused on it, because we don't really talk about, hey, let's go break this, that, and the other record at ACCs. NCAAs is more, it's not about time anymore at NCAAs, right? It's more about your placing.
Yeah. I'm curious with that 200 free relay. Was there, you said 123. Was that just because that's a barrier that had never been before? Was 123? Did that hold a specific significance
Yeah,
for you all?
basically that.
Mhm.
I joked with them a lot. I was like, yeah, it's cool, breaking the NCAA record and all, and going 124, but nobody's ever gone 123. Can you do that? So it was definitely more that. I also say, and this is true, I like odd numbers. I like odd numbers better than even numbers. So I kept telling them that too. I like odd numbers.
There's a
But
lot happening.
if you can't tell, our staff is getting it's like they're tapered. They got too much energy. They're getting a little antsy to go to NCAAs.
So speaking of which, I can tell how the coaching staff is doing, but The last few weeks, coming out of conferences, just how do you handle that taper? It's a weird time. It's a few weeks. You guys have done it plenty of times, but just how do you try to set the tone in those last few weeks where you're really probably not doing much, hard work? You're more just zeroing in.
I mean, I think, I think we do keep the hard work going. Hard work works. I think that phrase is used a lot by Bob Bowman. Work works. So right after ACCs, we go back to work. But I think the big thing is, we talk about if you want to be the best at NCAAs, if that's where you want to swim your fastest, then you got to be swimming your fastest in practice between those two meets, ACCs and NCAAs. So you want to we want to try to train at a higher level between those two meets than we were leading into ACCs. And if you can elevate your training for a couple of weeks, then the little soldier boy, if you can elevate your training, then your racing is going to elevate. And we kind of take that approach all year, right? Like you're going to race at the level you train at. So that's why we try to train fast so you can race fast. And so now we're trying to train faster and race faster. This isn't going to get published, is it? Right?
Yeah.
Are we wasting our time?
It's good. So
knock it off.
This is the UVA spirit. We're getting the UVA experience right now.
You either love it or you hate it. Sometimes I hate it. Sometimes I hate it.
This is the culture you've created, Todd. So I mean that's great insight into just your training philosophy, which we've seen you guys race fast all year, and so it makes sense. In terms of event lineup heading into NCs, obviously we were just getting really excited seeing what the Walshes, what Kate Douglas was swimming at conference, and then guessing what they would be swimming in NCAAs. Did you take a similar approach to before of just kind of letting them take the wheel on their event lineups heading into NCs in terms of what excites them the most?
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a couple others in that position too. Ellen Nelson was in that position as well. At the end of the day, if you're looking at a top 3 finish in any one of a number of events, then just pick the one that you're really excited about, because those are the events that you're going to do. The events that you're most excited for are going to be the ones that you're going to do best at. So, just kind of let them pick. And sure, we give them some guidance and they ask for our input and we talk about it. But at the end of the day, just, a happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, and we want them to be happy. We want them to enjoy themselves. We want them to have fun, and, just swim events that you're excited to swim and that you want to swim. And, if it makes sense from a team perspective, then we certainly agree with it 100%.
So from a team perspective, on paper, this seems like in the last 3 years, you might get the most run for your money in terms of winning a national title from Texas. So heading into this meet, did you make any decisions based on that team decision or that team perspective of, okay, points wise or on paper, like we're going to need to do this instead of this if we're going to put ourselves in the best position to win a title? And do you still have that goal that you've talked about in previous years of outscoring your old UVA teams?
Yeah. I would say, well, first of all, what about Stanford? They're good too.
I think on paper, we wrote this article of like Texas, UVA. So I brought them up. Stanford's really good too.
Yeah. I think it's funny on that note. It's not funny, but there've been so many times at a conference championship or an NCAA championship meet where sometimes people might focus on one particular competitor, and it's actually not that competitor who's the one who gives you the biggest challenge, because there's always tons of surprises. At the end of the day, we don't ever worry about necessarily who we're competing against, and what distractions are out there. We just try to focus on ourselves. So certainly the goal is to, be the best that we've ever been as a team. And, for example, we had more NCAA qualifiers this year than we've ever had. in the history of UVA. So certainly we're a deeper team. Yeah, I think one of our goals is to try to outscore what we did last year. But as far as like them choosing events, it wasn't necessary. Like if it's a point or two or three or something like that, that's not necessarily something that we'll take into consideration. But if it's like, swim this event, maybe make the A final, swim this event, guaranteed an A final, then yeah, we're like, you need to swim the event, you're guaranteed an A final. But if it's like a place or two, at that point, like, that's not something that we would really take into consideration from a team perspective, because to me, if it's a point or two could come from a lot of different places. It's a long meet with a lot of races and dives, and a point or two could be lost or made up at any given point. So, again, like I said, at the end of the day, it's more about, people being happy and swimming the races they want to swim, within reason. Like I said, are you going to get roughly the same place? Then great. Like if you're choosing between two events that you're probably going to score about the same amount of points, then pick whichever one you want. If one is considerably better than the other, then that's a whole nother thing. And I think any one of I don't think that ever even comes into play with any of our women. If they know what they're going to score most in, and they're going to gravitate towards those events, because they are all about what's going to help the team the most.
Yeah.
And like, as far as the meet being close, I think that we would take the approach any year that it's going to be close, because you don't know how close or not close it's going to be until you're well into the meet. And even though, the last couple of years they haven't been nail biters, you don't know if it's going to be a nail biter until probably halfway through the meet anyway. So you take the approach that, everybody's going to be at their best, and you want to be at your best as well. And, at the end of the day, I think I've said this before, but like, if a record's broken and you get second, like Gretchen, for example, last year, she got second in the 100 backstroke, but she broke the NCAA record. But she got second. Catherine won it and set the record, but I don't think Gretchen was upset, because she swam about as fast as she was going to swim, and somebody else just swam faster. So, whether it's a record or whether it's a title or whatever, I think the women are focused on being the best they can be. And if they're the best they can be, then they're going to be happy with whatever the outcome is, regardless.
I am
No, go ahead.
I'm curious. You added Aimee Canny at the spring semester from South Africa. Seems like she's done really well so far. Again, just in competition and at ACCs. I'm just curious what she's brought to the team, and how you have assimilated her into being one of the Who's, and what it's been like to have her on the team for the last few months.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Obviously she's been excited and couldn't wait to get here for a long time, since the fall. And I think her excitement to just get here initially was enough to just get her integrated. And obviously we've been talking to her for a long time and recruited her for a long time, so she knows what we were about and what the team's goals are. And I think she was just excited to be in a new environment and be doing some different things and be around all the amazing girls that we have. So she just kind of hit the ground running. It was funny because the first week she was here, I think she was just reacclimating to the time difference, and just she's a whole different world apart, right, from where she used to be. So it took her about a week, but like every week, like went like from Saturday to Saturday, like the end of the first week on Saturday, it was one thing. And then the next Saturday, it was like she was 2 times better. And then 2 weeks later, she was like unreal. And then there was one Saturday morning, we were doing a long course practice, and she's like blowing my mind. And I'm like, okay, this girl's a real deal. And just kind of kept getting better and better, and just was excited. And she's a great kid and has a great personality, and, doesn't ask any questions, just does everything we ask her to do. And not that questions are bad, but she doesn't, she's bought in immediately. And that's, believing and trusting your coaches and the environment and your teammates is half the battle. And she believed from day one. And, she, regardless of what she does next week, she's already exceeded any expectation that we had, or any hope. That we don't really have an expectation when we bring new people in. Certainly you might have hopes, but she's already been better than anything we had hoped for.
That's certainly great to hear. I think she was better than we as swim fans had hoped for as well. She got off to a very quick start, and excited to see what she can do this coming week.
Yeah.
Last question. Is there an event that you're most excited to watch at this NCAAs?
I got asked that exact same question this morning. And that's a really hard one for me because there are so many races, and we'll have so many swims that I'm as excited about any one of them. And so it's hard for me to be like, I can't wait for this race. I can't wait for the 400 free relay because that means the meet is coming to an end. But no, just kidding. I mean, I'm just really excited about all of them. I think that, as coaches, you want the best for your athletes, and, not so much so that they can score points and, do what break records or win events or win, trophies or anything like that. It's a lot more, at least for me as a coach, about you want the best for them because you've watched them. They've worked so hard. A 30-week season is now culminating in a 3-day meet, and you've watched them for 30 weeks just work insanely hard, and blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And you just know that they've earned and worked for anything that they get in the next weeks. You just hope that you're hopeful for them that they do great because they've worked hard enough for that. And for me, like, I would say probably the most exciting races for me are going to be the ones where we have seniors in. That's going to be their last race, or their last race in that particular event. But there's not one that I'm like, can't wait for this event. Years ago, I would have been like 50 free. I can't wait for the 50 free because I'm a sprint coach and I love the 50 free. But we've got so many great people, that I love and love being around and have enjoyed being around for a year, 2, 3, 4 now, that are doing the mile and the 4IM and whatever events that might be, that I'm really excited to see them, just go in and do great. So there's not one particular event. Actually, I take that back. Here you go. The one event the one event I'm most excited to watch is the event that's next.
I
like that. I thought that was good.
Fine, we'll take it. Todd, is a weak answer, but I appreciate your time. Thank you for sitting down and chatting before this meet.
My pleasure. Thanks.